Today, we learned that the Trump administration is deploying 3,000 more ground troops to the Middle East. Cenk, I know you're coming in hot from the first hour, so what is your 2 cents on this before we get into the story?
Yeah, so we should not be putting any ground troops in. I'm gonna keep asking the question until one other human being asks in American media, why isn't it Israeli ground troops? They're the ones who wanted the war, but they're now ordering our ground troops in to die on behalf of Israel. So wait till you find out the rest of the story and how disastrously this is gonna turn out.
Yeah, so right as of now, there is no formal order to put those troops on the ground in Iran, but now Trump has the option to do so if he wants to. And that means that in the past 2 days alone, Trump has both opened the door to negotiations with Iran and surged even more troops into the Middle East. So over 4,000 Marines have already been deployed. Meanwhile, a former Trump administration official is stating that Trump has no good options for ending this war, which is very, very comforting for the rest of us. General Jim Mattis, of all people, served as Trump's defense secretary from 2017 to 19, if you'll recall. Yesterday, Mattis had this to say. He said, in Iran right now, if we declared victory, we would now say they own the strait. You'd see attacks for every ship that goes through. And that's been corroborated by reporting from the Wall Street Journal. Allegedly, Arab leaders told the Iranian Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps that the Strait of Hormuz should be governed by a neutral committee. So the IRGC replied that Iran should collect fees from transiting ships, just as Egypt does now with the Suez Canal. And there is more from Mattis. He had a lot to say, and he said it quite plainly. He said, we are in a tough spot, ladies and gentlemen. I can't identify a lot of options. Neither side has the ability right now to move the other side off of where they're at. Never in history has air power alone changed a regime. Great, so Mattis isn't the only one who's nervous about the war. Yesterday, the Chevron CEO, Mike Wirth, had this to say. He said, there are real physical manifestations from the closure of the Strait of Hormuz that are working their way around the world and through the system that I don't think are fully priced into the futures curve on oil. So what does that mean? What he's saying is that Wirth believes that right now oil is actually underpriced, and the price increases we've already seen aren't as bad as they really should have been by now. Meanwhile, the Trump administration is shutting down renewable energy projects as if that is going to help make anything better for the average American consumer. So on Monday, Doug Burgum's Interior Department announced it will pay a French energy company, Total Energies, nearly $1 billion to stop plans to build 2 wind farms off the coast of New York and North Carolina. Instead, Total Energies will take the money it had paid during the Biden administration from federal offshore land leases and reinvest some of it into a liquefied natural gas plant in Texas. Total Energies CEO described the agreement to forfeit its leases for US offshore wind farms as innovative. Sure, going backwards is the same thing as like innovating for the future. So we'll end with a piece of writing from a Chinese think tank, actually, that was republished by one of DropSite News reporters. And here's what it says. It says, a protracted Middle East war would be a period of strategic opportunity for China, one that drains US resources while pushing global capital, industry, and trade routes towards China as the next best option. Turmoil at sea leaves US allies dependent on seaborne energy, vulnerable, expanding demand for alternative land routes, and accelerating China's revival of continental power. Capital will initially flee to the US dollar, but as war drags on, it will seek new safe havens. Hong Kong has already emerged as a preferred destination for Middle Eastern money, and the war will accelerate the shift towards a global industrial chain resting on US demand, China as the hub, and the rest of the world in supporting roles, handing China pricing power and rule-setting authority. Cenk, there's an awful lot going on here. We are seeing Americans leaving this country at record numbers, something we haven't seen since the Great Depression. Really, we're also seeing people looking to leave the military and end their commitment to the country because they are so unsure of what this president is going to do. He now has the option to send even more troops over to the Middle East if he wants to, and at this rate, whatever he does with that option is anyone's guess, right? Because if he does have a plan, he's not communicating that to the American people, which is very disrespectful because he's sending all of our money over there. Our entire military arsenal is being blown literally over there. And now he's trying to send our people over there. And this is the reason why people voted for Donald Trump, is because he said, I'm the anti-war president and I'm not gonna send your children anywhere to die in battle. And that is exactly what he's doing now. It's incredible to me that any of the people who voted for him in 2024 still support him after seeing all of this. But here we are, and gas prices are going up, and apparently it should be a lot worse than it is and could potentially get a lot worse very, very quickly. We are reinvesting in natural gas instead of going forward into some kind of economy that would wean us off of our dependency on the Middle East and all of these oil producing countries. And it's very frustrating because we're just moving backwards, and we're doing all of this for a reason that our government can't even explain to the American people.
Yeah, there's something very depressing in this story that I'm going to get to in a sec. But you're absolutely right. When our allies asked Donald Trump, when are we going to know the war is over? He said, "Oh, I'll know it in my bones." Now we got to worry about Donald Trump's bones and bone spurs. And can you get a bone spur so we can get out of this war like you did last time with Vietnam? So this absurd. It's absurd for a US president to tell allies, "I'll know it in my bones." That means we don't have a goal, we don't have a plan. And that's been clear from day one. We, on the other hand, try to help you guys. So if you're starting your own business, at some point you're gonna need a shop. We have shoptyt.com. Yeah, but really, who do we use? Who do we trust? Well, that's Shopify. Shopify makes everything simpler. It makes checkout way simpler with the big purple button that they have. That really has helped us a lot. And overall, they've been wonderfully responsive to us. We wouldn't do it with anybody else. So if you're gonna set up a shop for anything that you're doing online, make sure you're using Shopify. And right now, if you sign up, you only get $1 per month trial. $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/TYT. That's shopify.com/TYT. When I saw Mattis out there saying we're kind of stuck in this war, I thought, oh, I got nervous about it. Here comes another ex-general, probably working for a defense contractor, out there going, no, we got to stay. We have to send in ground troops. Israel's right. Lockheed Martin and Raytheon are right? So, but it turns out not really. And we're fair show in America. I watched what he said, and he's kind of right. He's saying, look, we shouldn't be here. Not that he literally said that, but this is what he was going towards and what I thought he was implying, right? So whether we like it or not that we're in this quagmire and we're stuck here, we are stuck. And he said, because see, why I'm giving him credit for being honest is that the lackeys for the administration go, oh no, there's no problems at all. We're winning, it's fantastic, we got to put in the ground troops. He's like, no, both sides are unreasonable. We're asking, and so what does he mean by that? The Iranians now go, well, look, turns out closing the Strait of Hormuz is awesome. And we're now running half the world, and the whole world's in a panic over oil prices because we closed the Strait of Hormuz. We're going to charge you for it, right? And so we've actually gone backwards in the war, and they've gained more leverage. But now, so the Iranians are now asking for reparations, saying America has to pay for everything that it destroyed in Iran. Our chances of doing that is approximately zero. And then we're telling the Iranians, not only do you have to get rid of your nukes, which you've already gotten rid of, and we've bombed 120 times. But you have to also let us run your foreign policy, let Donald Trump run the Strait of Hormuz, and get rid of every missile you have. And their chance of accepting that is zero. So Mattis is right, we can't leave, and we can't open up the Strait of Hormuz, and we can't put in ground troops. So quagmire 101. Donald Trump got dog walked by Israel right into this inescapable trap. Once you've entered the trap, you can't leave. It's an escape room that you can't escape. So now we're totally screwed because Now, look, we could leave, but we'd have to make a deal with the Iranians, and we'd have to hope that the Iranians take the deal, which is we'll leave if you reopen the Strait of Hormuz. But we can't leave without reopening the Strait of Hormuz, because then Iran will charge us billions and billions of dollars, will declare victory in the war, and have enormous leverage now in that area. Israel won't let us leave, the Saudis won't let us leave, but there's actual real reasons not to leave now. But if we put in ground troops, that is a guaranteed disaster. More of them will get killed, we'll have to put more in, and we can't possibly win a ground war. Couldn't win one with Iraq or Vietnam or Afghanistan. And Iran is way more capable and way larger than any of those countries. So we're in a world of hurt here. And then finally, when you get to China, that stuff that Yaz read you is indisputable. Like, who wants to deal with America and its allies constantly, war after war after war? And they want stability so they could do trade and business. The Chinese are like, ironically, the so-called communists have hung a giant sign on their country, open for business. Meanwhile, America has put up a sign saying, run by Israel, we'll start needless wars and destroy our own economy. Don't do business with us, because we'll sell you out and create a war that'll cause you tremendous damage. Where do you think they're gonna go? They're gonna go to China. So the depressing news, Yaz, is it is very difficult to get out of this war without causing significant damage to ourselves. We've already made a mistake that is going to be very hard to recover from, even in the best case scenario where we make some sort of deal with the Iranians and come back home. We're gonna be worse off than when the war started. But every day we stay in the war, it gets worse and worse, not better and better.
Yeah, this is starting to feel very reminiscent of wars like in Vietnam, where we would go into something and there wasn't really as distinctive a plan, and we would just keep throwing people at it because we didn't have a way out of these things. And isn't that war 101? You never start a fight that you can't win. That was how it was supposed to be. But as far as people turning to China now, we're already starting to see a lot of that happen. We're seeing even our allies who are saying, I'm going to start relying more on China than the United States. And that includes countries like France and Canada. So it's a lot going on. And also, the reparations. The United States, we do not pay reparations, not even to our own people. We'll demand them of other countries, and we will cripple their economies in doing so, but we don't pay reparations. We will find other ways to cripple our own economy, and we are doing that very, very well. Right now, our entire economy is already hanging by a thread. It is an incredibly large global Ponzi scheme, and that is the only reason why we have an economy right now. The American people are suffering, things are not getting better for them, and everything that our government is doing is seemingly almost intentionally making things worse for the American people. They have said that they don't care about the affordability crisis right now. It's just not their concern. They have other things going on. So they're going to continue sending all of our money out of this country against the will of the American people. This administration has the lowest approval rating that we've ever seen, and they don't care because they can just do whatever they want. Congress isn't stopping them. The Supreme Court isn't stopping them. The president certainly is not stopping them. International ire is not stopping them. They do not have the support, but they're doing it anyway.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.